Welcome, everyone, to episode 141 of Rangers Ed, presented by Lucarelli Law. If you're in Florida and need a lawyer, call Lucarelli Law. Tell them the boys at Rangers Ed sent you. This is your host, Cousin Ed. I'm here with our producer, PJ, and Mikey P from the Rangers Ed 150. No little Ed, no Coach Ed tonight. They're coming back from Nationals with Stony Brook, so they're going to miss this week. What is up, boys? What's up, Mikey?
Not a whole lot. Just celebrating my wife's annual birthday week, so having a great time.
Yeah. Oh, annual birthday week. So growing up, my sister had a birthday month, which is
oh man,
which is ironic because my birthday's in the same month as hers, March, and it comes.
Well, let me stop you right there. No, it wasn't
before her birthday. Right. So
yeah.
March 1st would come, and she'd say, "It's my birthday month," and I'd say, "My birthday's before yours, technically." Anyway. And also, yes, my wife likes a spectacle on her birthday too. Although this year is different with the baby coming, but
yeah, it's one of those if you know type things. You know, like,
yeah.
You know. It's a birthday week. Yeah.
Yes, for sure. But that's fun. Good for her. Happy birthday to Mrs. 150. Tell her we said happy birthday from the show.
Yes, will do, gentlemen.
And we got PJ over here. What's up, buddy? You hanging in there?
I've been better.
Yeah,
it's been brutal here.
As far as Rangers go, yes, but everything else good, I hope.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's taking me down, but that is a good chunk of my life nowadays.
Mike, you got the Marchand jersey hanging. That's pretty
Listen,
intense.
I thought about putting duct tape over it.
I thought about this. Right when I saw it when you logged on, I was like, "This is going to be a pretty dark episode." And I'm sure
the worst part about it is I just bought his Team Canada jersey like a week before he got traded. So it hasn't even got here in the mail yet.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, guys, I need a little help.
Yeah.
Tonight. So anyway, I saw that and I was like, this is going to be a dark episode. And then I saw that and I'm like, wow, it could be a little bit worse. Like, I feel like as bad as the Rangers are, and we'll get into this, when we talk about it, but as bad as the Rangers are right now in Rangers world, I guess, they're still if they just won 3 games throughout the year, they'd be right there at New Jersey. They're right on the precipice of a playoff spot. Like Boston, man, you guys have had a hard year. That's been a tough year for them. I feel like Boston, Vancouver, Rangers, 3 teams that have really had disappointing tough
I'd throw
years.
Nashville into there too.
Well, they've been a joke since the beginning. And with
fair,
with Boston, at
Bruins.
least with Boston,
the Bruins
at least
kind of too.
At least I said Boston.
Yeah.
Oh, from the beginning. No,
from
you
the
guys
beginning.
You've been battling. You were up in the Atlantic 3 for a while.
Yeah.
I know you had more games than everyone else, but you were there.
Yeah.
And I feel like at least they're rebuilding. Anyway, let's just jump right into it. We got a lot to talk about. Let's just go right into the jersey profiles. Sponsored by Blue Line Blue Shirts, episode 141, number 41. Jed Ortmeyer's the pick here. Apropos, because he is the current director of player development for the Rangers. A lot of fans don't like that. But, as a Ranger, he was a gritty player. He played 3 years, 177 games. He had 24 points, including 9 goals. So, fourth liner. But yeah, I think PJ, most of his games were with the Rangers, right? More so than any other team.
Yeah, he started with them, and then he ended up going to San Jose, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, San Jose, the Islanders, I think, for a brief moment as well. But
right.
Yeah, so little
favorite for sure.
We got to fill in for little Ed here. Little Ed, fun fact about Jed Ortmeyer: he's diagnosed with a pulmonary embolism in 2006. So there's your little Ed fun fact. I mean, this kind of will transition right into what we got a bunch of topics here. We might not go in order on this list. Sorry if that makes it difficult for you, but let's just jump right into the games here. So prior to the last episode, the Rangers were 33, 29 and 6. Since then, they went 1 and 3. They now sit 34, 32 and 6, 74 points, 5th in the Metro, 21st or first, as I put in the outline, in the NHL. Yeah, I mean, started out, ending this homestand. They had 3 games at home on this stretch here. A loss to Calgary, which was one of the most difficult, inexcusable, difficult games to watch and inexcusable losses I think I can remember. And maybe it's a little recency bias. I'm sure there's worse ones, but that one just didn't make any sense. And then Toronto, the 4-3 loss, really a 4-2 loss with the late nonsense goal by Kreider. I don't really care about that. And then the 5-3 win against Vancouver, which was probably one of the most crazy games they shouldn't have won in that I can remember, but they pulled it off. And then last night, obviously, for those who stayed up, 3-1 loss to LA, another tough game to not come away with any points in. And it just seems to be a theme, throughout this. So PJ, I mean, let's talk about these games. I mean, the effort level, right? I mean, we talked about this all season. This team just continuously does not appear to put in the effort necessary to win games. And I hear a lot of pushback on that. I see a lot of people who question that, and then a lot of people who go to the other end of the spectrum. There are people who think like, oh, they don't give a shit. Sorry, now this episode's rated MA or whatever. So people, they don't care at all, right? And then on the other side of it, they're like, oh, what do you think? They're professional athletes. Of course they care. And, I think it's somewhere in between there, but if they care, they're just not putting forth the effort on the ice. It's not translating into effort. And by effort, we're talking about skating. We're talking about hitting. We're talking about a commitment to defense, a commitment to straight line hockey. And for years, this team has been successful off the east-west pass, off the playmaking ability of their power play, which we're going to talk about. And it's just when those things don't click, it's how, like PJ, talk about the effort level, but how easy is it to game plan against the Rangers right now?
I've said it to you multiple times in text, and you've said it back too. They have to be the easiest team to play against. Teams must be just so excited to play them because they know exactly what the Rangers are going to do. They're going to go east-west, like you said. So all I have to do is just clog the middle of the ice. The Rangers are going to just give it right up. They're not going to back check. So as long as the other team stays patient and outworks them, they're going to win every time. And Rangers don't win puck battles. I mean, it's just damning when you watch them. 50-50 pucks. They lose almost every one. And kind of like you said, the effort. There's a lot of bad shit. I'm going to pile on with the swearing too that's going on this year. And that's like one of the biggest things for me, because I think we can all accept if it's, things aren't going well for the team, or they have major injuries, or they're having bad luck. But when I've never experienced this, where countless games, that huge 6-week stretch in the middle of the season, and then now we're talking to game 70.
I mean, did you watch? I don't know how old you are, but did you watch through the Dark Ages?
Yeah, I'm going to be 37 in a week. So yeah, I was definitely.
It reminds me of that. It really reminds me of that. You look at the team; they got excellent players. They have Artemi Panarin, who's one of the best wingers in the league, right? Just is. I mean, if Coach ever here, he'd disagree, but he just is. He's a top 5, 10, 20 winger. Call it whatever you want. He's one of the best in the league. JT Miller, Mika Zibanejad, Adam Fox, Igor Shesterkin, Chris Kreider. You got former top draft picks. Kako's gone, but they still got Alexis Lafreniere. Trocheck had 70 points last year. Like, this team is loaded with talent, and I'm just like baffled at the lack of urgency. You're coming off games. Let's take this back. Let's go back a little bit here, and I don't know if you need to open the schedule to correct me. Let's go back to the weekend where they played Ottawa and Columbus. We entered that weekend saying this is an opportunity for the Rangers to win both of these games and really jump up into that wildcard spot, solidify wildcard 1 even, maybe even Metro 3 we were talking about at that point. They're up 3-1 on Saturday against Ottawa in the third period. 3-1. And since then, it has just been a nightmare to watch this team. Like that, I remember being so excited. I was like, oh my God, they're going to win this game. They're going to take it to Ottawa here. They're going to take Columbus. I was getting my hopes up in the middle of that game. I remember I was watching it on my phone. Panarin scored that goal, and I was like, this is awesome. Like, we're okay. Like, we're riding the ship. Since then, it has been an absolute nightmare, just effort-wise. It's almost like that game against Ottawa just took the wind out of their sails, and they have not recovered. I don't know if there's a connection there because they had the Columbus game where they won. In between, they had some good games, but like, I don't know. Do you connect everything to that game against Ottawa like I am, or do you think maybe I'm going back too far? Is it more complicated than that?
No, I mean, I think it's definitely a breaking point. I mean, there seems like there's a good amount of those where you can look at inflection points of this season, but most recently for sure, because like you said, they were coming off at the beginning of the month. They shut out Nashville and the Islanders back to back. It looked like they buried the Islanders, and now they're somehow the Rangers in points percentage. It's beyond me. And then, like you said, yeah, they played two teams that they were fighting for the wild card for in the weekend. And then that Ottawa game was brutal. And then what happens next day in MSG? They get smoked by CBJ. And then after that, you're right. Like, I mean, they played decently against the Jets. They won that overtime game against the Wild. And then they had that awesome win against CBJ. So like maybe they kind of righted the ship a little bit. They put themselves back in the playoff spot. And then all of a sudden they lost to the Oilers, and bam, the Flames game happened. And then here we are again. It's just hasn't.
Yeah, I mean, Mike, like what? Like, I know you haven't watched every game, but like, what is your give me like a non-biased Rangers perspective, like overhead view of like when your team is you got a game with the Rangers on a Friday night, Bruins Rangers, like what is your thought going into that game as a fan?
So with the Rangers, I've noticed over the last couple of years, like they're a team that thrives on momentum, whether it's in the moment or over the long term. And I think I've just been kind of scrolling through the Rangers schedule, and the Rangers are a good team. They got talent on paper, yada yada. I do agree with you in that capacity, but a large component of the game is chemistry, and for whatever reason, that's lacking this year, and that has sort of set them back a tier. And the way their schedule is, they haven't beat a lot of top 3 division teams, and that sort of inhibited them from getting momentum throughout the season, which is, I think, kind of like what has really fueled their last few runs. Like, I know when Mika Zibanejad gets hot, that team gets rolling and they win a lot, and that's sort of been lacking through this whole season for them.
Yeah, but let's I want to talk about a couple things there. You know, you say they haven't beaten top division teams. Like, yes, the record against playoff teams this year is abysmal, but they've lost so many games to teams that are outside the playoffs too. They lost to Buffalo, I think, twice. They lost to Nashville. They lost to Chicago. You know, they just lost. Yep. I mean, Calgary, they just lost to. Calgary's battling for a spot too. I get it, but Calgary, you know, like
you keep listing teams that have a good edge to them, and that's been a big criticism of the Rangers of mine personally, is that they don't have the physical edge that a lot of these teams have. And I think when you're up against teams like you said, Buffalo, Buffalo's been fighting for a playoff spot for like the last 21 years. And that team is stacked
team in the East. They're the worst team in the East.
The Bruins are the worst team in the East.
No, I'm talking points wise.
Yeah, but Buffalo
results
is
based.
But Buffalo is a big physical team, whether it's up front or not. They're a big physical team, and that's not something that lends to the Rangers' play style. From a non-objective point of view, I see them struggling against physical teams.
Yeah, they always do.
Yep.
And that partially has to do with their core group of players that they've put together here. You know, the Panarin, Zibanejad, Fox, Kreider, Shesterkin core. I mean, that is the Rangers core, right? Trocheck's on the outside. Miller's entering that core now. They're trying to change that. It has to do with that. But, you know, it's when you look at those guys as well. I mean, PJ sent the stat today. Since the Four Nations break, the Rangers have played 17 games, right? So I'm going to read you the stat. Panarin has 8 goals in those 17 games. Miller has 7. Zibanejad has 4. Will Cooley has 4. Trocheck has 3. And Lafreniere has 1. in 17 games. That's your top six forwards right there.
All right, so you got to break it down individually. Like Panarin, 8 goals in 17 games. That's on pace for 39 goals a season. That's not bad. I don't mind that at all. Like Miller, same thing, 7 goals.
Panarin's been hot. Panarin's been hot.
That's not bad. I sound like a broken record when I talk about Zibanejad, so I'm not even going to get into it. You guys know my thoughts on him. But I mean, like Will Cooley with 4 goals. If you'd said that at the beginning of the season, that Cooley put in 4 in 17 games, you'd be stoked. You didn't think you were going to get that from him this year. So you're kind of putting him in a spot where he wasn't initially anticipated. Yeah. I like Cooley as well. I think he's got a great game. But where I have a problem is Trocheck. Yeah, well, it doesn't matter. You're right. But Trocheck and Lafreniere are the big problems for me. I mean, you signed that contract for whatever was $7.5 million for Lafreniere. Sorry, buddy, but you got to put the puck in the back of the net down the stretch.
He's not doing anything.
And you throw Kreider in there. He's only got 2 in that stretch. And he's not playing top 6, but still, I mean, he's obviously a
Kreider. Dude, Kreider played almost 20 minutes yesterday. 20 minutes. Why? Like, can someone explain this to me? Why? And look, I have been a Kreider defender. PJ knows this. People are like, trade Mika, trade Kreider. And I've been like, hey, wait a second. Like, this is a bad year. He's had a down year. He's been injured. I'm not making excuses, but I'm not willing to determine a player's future with the organization based on maybe a hiccup, right? Because players season to season, they ebb and flow. We know that. Even within a season, players ebb and flow. We've seen that with Mika, right? Usually he ebbs up in March. That's why it's Mika March. And he ebbs down in November, and that's the way he is. So I'm willing to say this could be an ebb with Kreider. His game, to me, isn't one that's like naturally going to decline. His game is predicated now mostly on net front presence, power play, shorthanded abilities. Like that is not going to decline just based on age. It's not like it's speed anymore, right? That's already declined. So I've been that, but like, dude, this guy should not be playing 20 minutes a game right now at this point in the season because he's not producing. He's not putting in the effort. Maybe it's because he's hurt, but if he's hurt, why is he playing 20 minutes? So it's like, I don't understand it.
We'll get to
who's getting those minutes then? Who's worthy of those minutes on that roster?
Anybody else? Give
me a name though. I mean, we just went through how Lafreniere is terrible.
Play Othman. Play Brodzinski. Right. Play Berard. Play Parsonen. I don't care. At least Parsonen forechecks. At least I see him throw a hit now and then. I don't see Kreider do anything.
Except hurt the team lately. I mean, geez, Louise, that turnover yesterday. Holy crap!
He can't control the puck. He can't clear the puck out of the zone. Chip it out of the boards. Miller throwing backhand passes. Keandre Miller is another one. Is it effort with him, PJ, that just makes him like forget every game for like 4 minutes? Keandre Miller just like forgets how to play hockey. It's like somebody just takes over his body who's like a tennis player. And he's like, oh, crap, like I'm playing hockey right now. And he forgets. He can't make a pass. He can't control the puck. He can't make a decision. And then he's elite for the rest of the game. It's like so weird to me.
Yeah, I would call it almost like lackadaisical, like he just loses focus. Because like we talk about week after week with him. Like he has the tools, all this stuff. And Doug, you're right. Like throughout the game, like he makes these great plays or he's getting more physical lately. And you're like, all right, you see it. And then all of a sudden it's just like, when he makes a mistake, it's a freaking huge one. It's never just like, like a little mispass or something like that. It is always.
No, it's because he just forgets how to play, dude. I'm telling you, it's like, it's not just a mistake. No, Mike, like seriously, I'll send you the clip later if you didn't see it. Yesterday, no goal was scored on the play by LA, but Miller gets the puck. I think he was shorthanded. He tries to go D to D and like flubs the puck. It then gets stolen by the LA player. I think it was Laferriere. He then like takes it back from him, then tries to pass it the other direction and flubs it. Then he tries to stick handle around a guy. There's no one behind him but the goalie. He's trying to stick handle around, and you're just watching this play. Like, what are you doing? Like Like, what are you doing? It's like he just doesn't know the basic, simple things they teach you in Pee Wee hockey, right? Like it's to that level. And then honestly, the rest of the game, I'm like okay with his game. It's crazy. Like I'm good with it, you know.
Yeah. And Vitali brings.
Yeah, I got to see that clip.
And
I'll
Vitali
send it to you. I'll find it.
Brings up a good point about Miller, and it's something that we see a lot with these Rangers defensemen. I don't get it, where they dive out on their stomach all the damn time, and Valaquette said it yesterday too, especially on the penalty kill. If you go down as a defenseman on your stomach, you better block the pass or you're creating a 2-on-1 down low. And those are exactly how LA scored both goals yesterday.
I was taught, and I don't know if Coach or Little Ed would disagree, but they teach their players. Kind of wish they were here for this. But what I was told when I played D in juniors was you don't go down on your stomach unless you're playing a 2-on-1 and the players are like far apart, right? Because then you want to take the pass away, and that's the best way to take the pass away. There's too much ice if you're up. So if you're going to go down, it needs to be that like they're coming in from the sides on a 2-on-1, not on the penalty kill, because you're already down a man. If you go on the stomach, you're taking yourself out of the play for at least 3 seconds, 2-3 seconds, right? By the time you get up, reassess where you are, put your stick on the ice, all that. It's been 2-3 seconds. I mean, I don't get it. I don't get it. And yes, Keandre's been doing that. So I meant how he's right. It's mostly Keandre. But it's not just him. Borgen does it. Susie does it.
Yeah, they all do.
I don't get it. And this all circles the point of effort level. And PJ, you mentioned focus. You know, Mikey, when you played with Little Ed, right, in college or high school, where'd you play with him?
No, he played in college. I didn't play in college. I was already too injured.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. But when you played, what position did you play?
As a defenseman.
Okay. Perfect example. As a defenseman, right, you're on the ice, like your focus needs to be at what level to defend? Does it need to be 100% or any number lower than that?
This feels like a trap.
It's the easiest question you'll ever be asked, honestly.
If you it has to be at 100% at all times. You're the quarterback of the play as a defenseman. The whole play is in front of you 100% of the time, and if it's not, you're doing something wrong.
Right. Like imagine you go to war and you send people to the front lines who are just not focused fully on their tasks. How do you feel as anybody else, right? Like on that team of the war, like you're not in a good position, right? So it's like, it's that simple. Like effort and focus are tied directly to each other, right? Like a lack of focus to me is a lack of commitment, which it ties into effort. So when people say like, oh, the Rangers look like it's a lack of effort. Yeah, maybe they're out there, you know, sucking wind and their faces are red from the energy they're expending, but they're not committing to winning hockey that is being preached to them. And that ties into lack of focus. So effort level, call it what you want. But frankly, I think it's an easy one in this episode, PJ. 1 shot on goal in the first period against Calgary, 2 shots on goal in the first period last night. I'm sorry. Like, I don't know what else to attribute that to other than effort. Because, yes, the Kings defend well. The Flames committed to defending well. Other teams play them. And they don't get 2 shots on goal or 1 shot on goal.
No, I mean, same thing happened in Vancouver too. I mean, and speaking of the effort level, after the game against Calgary, Giannone and Valaquette were like as hard as I've ever seen them on them. And basically, Valaquette said they don't even look like they sweat that much tonight.
No. Yeah.
And the one thing
Valaquette's been hard on them too.
Even like Joe and Sam have been, I've never seen the whole MSG. It's always been like positive. Even when they weren't playing necessarily well, it was always a positive spin. This year it's been pretty dark. But the thing that pisses me off the most is then you see these stupid quotes when it's happened again and again and again. Oh, we didn't show up. Oh, we weren't ready. Dude,
do you have the quotes?
I don't have them all. But like, I mean, I just think Keandre and Miller's after the game. We didn't show up. It was a big game and we didn't show up.
No, hold on. We got to read the Mika Zibanejad quote from last night. I don't know if you saw the post game.
That was a bad one too.
I don't know if you saw the post game. Hold on. This is worth it for Mikey P. I want his input on this too, because oh boy, was this.
But while you're pulling that up, like the most annoying part about these quotes is there's one thing the players can control every time is your effort and focus. Dude, it's your job. Like, you're not going to have your best night every night, but that's your one thing you can control. And it drives me up a wall with this team this year. I mean, and remember the Mika quote, even you're pulling the one last night, the Mika one after Calgary. He's like, oh, it wouldn't have mattered if we played this way and we won. Yeah, you would have won, but it matters. And that's the mindset of this core. Like, if effort's not that important, it doesn't matter if you win or lose. You got to play well, too. You got to try.
At what point does the coach come into consideration? I remember tweeting out months ago that Laviolette was something. But, like, you got to feel that change.
Incredible transition right there, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. But you got to think that changing the coach at some point would. I mean, look at the Blues, for example. I mean, they were doing. Who was it? Bannister that was at the helm there at the beginning of the season, and they were just up Schitt's Creek. Yeah, we're saying that this episode without a paddle. And since Montgomery took over, I mean, where are they? They're sitting in a playoff spot right now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 7 in a row they've won.
I mean, like, coaching changes, as much as I don't like them a lot of the time, more often than not, they have a very positive outcome for the team.
I mean, look at the Rangers last year. They got that huge bump with Laviolette. And we'll get to him, too, in more detail. But holy smokes, like, it's a lot on the players for me. We've talked about blame. I mean, sure, everyone wears it this year, right? But lately, and I've talked about this on previous episodes with Laviolette, they've had a lot of new guys in here, and the same things are happening. And you brought Miller in, same things are happening.
So on the coach, right? Like, we talk about this a lot, and for me, I think they should have fired Laviolette back. I'll go through my text messages, but probably somewhere around like December 15th, right? Now, that's probably around the time where I was like, he's got to be fired at some point, right? They were like 4-15 or something. You got to stop the bleeding. But I think Drury intentionally was like, no, I'm not firing the coach. I fired David Quinn because you guys wanted that. I fired Gerard Gallant because you guys wanted that. This is the third coach for the same core group of players. And I'm not blaming the coach a year after winning the President's Trophy because you guys are not out there every night giving 100% effort. I think that's what happened. I think that was a mistake by Drury, and I'm a Drury defender. I know a lot of Rangers Twitter and the world is not. They are critical of him. I think Drury is decent. I don't think he's the best GM. I don't think he's the worst. But that was a mistake, in my opinion, because you're right, Mike. Like, just imagine if they had fired Laviolette and just gave it to Michael Pekka on December 15th and said, figure it out. Maybe we have a great young new coach, and the Rangers have changed their whole – maybe that happened. Maybe not, but then you go hire a coach in the offseason anyway, right? Because they were heading in this direction. So I think it was a mistake in retrospect, but I think Drury was just adamant at the time that he was not going to put it on Laviolette a year and a half into his contract when the same group of players just continuously loses on lack of effort, right, PJ? I mean, do you agree?
Yep, 1,000%. I mean, we talked about it, and was after Christmas break felt like a perfect time. They had that disgusting game against Devils where they were embarrassed on and off the ice, and that would have been a good time after the break to integrate a new coach. And kind of like you said, yeah, it would be nice to have it in a room and see what you have. It makes, maybe you find a diamond in the rough with a young coach. And if not, then you need to find somebody else. But now I think you were right that he didn't want to give the players another out because their behavior after he put out that memo was just beyond abysmal, whether they were just quitting on Drury or showing their pissed.
It's kind of, Mike, it's kind of like a dog, right? Like, if you have a dog, right, and they stand by the back door and whine incessantly, and then you're like, dude, go outside, and you open the door and let it outside. You then can't turn around and blame the dog for whining by the door again because you've now taught this dog that you will open the door if it stands there and whines, right? So I think it was a little bit of that with Drury. Like, if you guys are out there going 4-15, there's a huge lack of effort. There's, dissonance in the locker room. Figure it out with this coach because he's staying. I don't know what to tell you. It was kind of a little bit of like a power struggle, I think. That's my opinion, just from observing. I have no idea.
How much of this do you think might possibly be residual from the Trouba situation? Like, imagine being a player and seeing your management give up on your captain, try and trade him, and then, immediately say, I've got to run through all this again. I mean, especially with a guy like Mika Zibanejad in your locker room, who is very much, he's a player that wears his heart right on his sleeve. And, for someone like that, that's very sensitive towards management and the, stuff that they do, seems to me like a lot of this could be residual from the way Trouba was treated and then unceremoniously shipped away to Anaheim. And on top of that, we were talking about physical play before. When you ship out a culture guy like Trouba, and the culture that he brings is, the occasional flying elbow and that stuff, you lost, there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, PJ, you want to take that one?
Yeah, I mean, I think frankly, go back to the summer. I think it started with Goodrow. That the way they just put him on waivers like last second. Drury's doing the right thing in the sense that he is clearing that contract. You can't pay a fourth liner $3.65 million. And I think that rubbed players the wrong way to start out because Goodrow was a big locker room guy for them. And then you're right. Then they tried to trade Trouba at the draft. Trouba blocked that. So there was already a black cloud starting the season. But they started hot, and it kind of went away for a little bit. But then when they started hitting some, bad skids in the middle of November there, it started getting ugly real quick. And there was no leadership because of that. And the players started revolting because Drury put out the memo in mid-November, and the season has not been the same since. And it's
I think that there's two sides to this. I think that is exactly right. I think Mikey made a good point. That's probably what happened. I think starting with Goodrow and Trouba. But I also think if that is true, then screw these guys, man. Like honestly, just not that this isn't the bunch, right? Like, this is a business. It's a business. You're trying to win games. You have somebody in charge who's going to put together a team that he thinks is the best to win. You guys won the President's Trophy. You lost in the Eastern Conference Finals. You don't just get a redo. It's not how it works. He's trying to build a team that can take that next step. If he identified Goodrow and Trouba as guys that needed to be moved, I don't blame either of those players for exercising clauses in their contracts and doing what they think is best for their families or any of that. I don't blame them. But I think the people who reacted in the room, Kreider, Zibanejad, whoever it was, you guys are not. That's not the mentality you need to win a Stanley Cup. So it's not going to be with this group of guys. So honestly, if that's what was needed to weed that out now, and we go through this pain of this season to change that, then that's what's necessary. If that's true, I have no idea if that was the case, but that's my opinion. I don't know about how you feel about your team. But like, imagine the Bruins trade Marchand and then the whole team just stops trying. Well, your dog agrees. But imagine that. I mean,
yeah. No, I mean,
how would you feel about that? They just stopped
I completely
trying?
agree with you. I completely agree with you. That's soft. I mean, listen, you're getting paid how many packing peanuts a season? Like, you're getting paid a lot of money to play hockey. And if your mindset is, you just traded my friend, or boo-hoo, management did this and I don't like it, and that is enough for you to say, screw it, I'm done. You're right. Get out. That's a losing culture. That's what that is. And
crazy.
That's unacceptable. Yeah.
Oh, you're mistreating my friend. Like,
yeah, boo-hoo. Like, look at Brady Tkachuk and the Norris trade.
Norris. Right.
Like,
exactly.
Look at that's how it's done. Brady doesn't get mad; he gets even. Or, like, he goes out there and puts his fist through someone.
And look at Tampa this year. They got rid of Stamkos. Pretty unceremoniously. They haven't really missed a beat this season.
They do it all the time.
And they did with McDonough. Yeah.
They threatened to
McDonough's
waive
back on the
McDonough.
team.
They threatened to waive McDonough if he didn't accept a trade in Nashville. And then they reacquired him, and he seamlessly fit into their locker room. No issues. No issues. So I don't want to hear it. Look, Barclay Goodrow, good soldier, good culture guy for sure. But the guy was overpaid. The Rangers are in a cap crunch. They're trying to make the team better. They got rid of him. He wouldn't accept the trade. The only team interested was San Jose. Rangers didn't have to give up any assets. Oh, so he goes to make $3.6 million in Southern California, boo-hoo, or Northern California, wherever that is, boo-hoo, right? Like, what? So it's not like they sent him to freaking, a prisoner camp or something in like a third world country. Like he's playing hockey.
Toronto.
He's playing hockey, yeah, right, in the NHL in California. Like, and they text all the time, I'm sure. They go to each other's weddings. I'm sure they hang out. They're going to hang out this weekend, right? Give me a break, dude. Like, I'm sorry. It shouldn't break the locker room like it did. So if that is what happened, and there's been reports of that, and it appears that is true, but I have no idea. If that is what happened, that is just really disgusting. Behavior by professional athletes who, listen, when you put on a sweater in the NHL, that's a privilege, man. Like, that's a privilege. Like, you know how many hockey players are out there that wish they made the NHL, or they were good enough to make the NHL, or to make a living playing hockey, right? Like, I grind every single day at work. I'd rather be playing hockey and making them more money than I make now. Give me a break. Like, I'm going to sit. So to the average fan watching that, it's like, I can understand them being upset, like Brady Tkachuk, I can understand that. Like, it's your friend, dude. Like, of course, you're a human. It's not like he doesn't have emotions. They can't be upset. They can be upset that Goodrow got waived. But, like, at the end of the day, you got to be committed to winning a Stanley Cup as a New York Ranger. And that's it.
All right, let's talk about. You also said, from a fan perspective, like, you pay money to see these guys.
Yeah.
You kidding me?
Not only that, Mike,
I
devote at least, and I'm not kidding. I devoted at least probably one full day's worth of hours a week to this team, between watching games, doing this podcast, talking, texting, looking things up, reading things online. At least, I guarantee you, I spend 15 to 25, 30 hours a week on the Rangers. And to get the effort back that you get in these games, it's like, why am I doing that? It becomes like, why? As a fan, you're sitting there like, am I going to stay up on Friday to watch the Rangers play Anaheim? Why? So Trouba can cuss Mika or something? What am I going to? I just.
Oh boy.
No, that's what the hardest thing to get over this season for me. Same reason, because you're right. We spent so much time, we spent money, and we put our emotions into it. I mean, this is supposed to be our escape.
We love it,
and we love it, and
we love them.
Yeah, and that's what's the hardest thing for me, because typically a lot of these seasons when things don't go well, like maybe a player has a bad year, there's an injury, or it's coaching, or it's something else. But this year, to be completely all on the players and effort base is the hardest thing to accept, because we love these guys individually. I mean, we love Mika. We love Kreider. I mean, 10 freaking months ago, Kreider had that hat trick. That should be on a Stanley Cup video. And then
he gave the stick to the kid in Carolina after the hat trick.
Yeah, and then he was cleaning up.
The kid was crying.
Do you see that? Remember the picture? The fans threw hat on his front yard. He was picking up hats the next day. Oh, it's so good.
That was unreal. And
think about
Little Ed named his cat Mika. He named his cat Mika.
Yeah. And I mean, look at Kreider, but that's the saddest thing about Kreider, right? If we go back 10 months in the summer, we're like, he's ready to break the franchise record in goals. Eventually, he's going to get the power play record. He's going to be in the rafters. Now he's going to probably be off the team in the summer. He has from all reports through Vince Mercogliano, he has a pretty rough relationship with the Rangers organization. Does that even happen? I mean, it's sad where we are with a lot of these guys.
Yeah, the Rangers got a lot of decisions to make, but the person with the decisions right now is Peter Laviolette. I mean, and I got to question some of these decisions. Like I said, Kreider getting 20 minutes. Carrick misses the game last night against LA, birth of his child. Totally understand it as a human being, as a fan. I hate it, but I get it. Okay. But they don't put Brett Berard in. They put Nicholas Aubé-Kubel from Hartford, who, PJ, did he play a game in the NHL this season?
No.
Why are you doing that? Like, what is the thought? Oh, he's a center. Okay, yeah. So Carrick's a center, and Aubé-Kubel plays center. So that's what, dude. You have Brodzinski, Zibanejad, Miller, and Trocheck, who can all play center. There's no reason to put somebody who hasn't played a single game in the NHL in over one of your better prospects. Berard is one of the Rangers' best prospects right now. He's one of the handful of guys who you can say this is going to be an NHL player, and he just can't find the ice with Peter Laviolette. And then you see all these Washington fans that are saying they did this to Protas and McMichael and all these guys in Washington. Laviolette did the same thing, and it wasn't until we got rid of him that they broke out. And I'm just in this boat like, dude, don't ruin these kids. Like, why is Berard even up right now if he's not going to play? Just put him in Hartford and let him play first line right wing. Like, what are you doing? I don't get it. I don't know. Am I crazy? Tell me.
I'll jump in quick. I mean, I said this to you last night, I think, and it's amazing some of these coaches that have been around the block, how many different teams they've coached. And it's like they don't learn their lessons. Like, they get fired for the same reasons over and over again. Like, Gallant was the same way. He got fired for the Rangers for the same thing he got fired for in Vegas and in Florida, where he was just stubborn with management, refused to play kids and do that type of thing. And the same thing type happened. And in Laviolette, like you said, you dive deep into like Reddit, or I wish I saw the article, but yeah, if you look at the article after he got fired and reasons why, it is eerily similar to the stuff that's happening here between the kids, between riding veterans hard with no accountability on them, even when they're struggling, to effort level, bad defense, not starting games on time. And how many times we talked about that where the Rangers are down 1-0 early or within the first 5 minutes. It's weird. And you think you'd learn why, I got fired. I don't want to do this next time. It's mind-boggling. But I'm curious.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, Mike, I mean, I want to put this in perspective for you as someone who doesn't watch every single Ranger game, okay? Like, riding the veterans or the star players last season, for example, when Trocheck had 75 points, the power play was like 30%, Panarin had 120 points, Kreider had 40 goals, Zibanejad had 80 points, Fox had 80 points. Like, riding those guys in that spot, not giving Laffy and Kako power play time. Like, you want, as a fan, you're like, this is a mistake. They need that time. But can you really criticize Laviolette for not riding them when they're producing like that and winning, right? This season, you've had a drop in production across the board. Panarin having a good year, but he had 120 points last year. PJ, what does he got now? Like 70, 65?
Yeah. He's on pace for 80s, 84, 85 points. But he's not going to get there because he missed a few games.
Good season, but 30, 40 points off what he did last year. Trocheck had 77 points last year. This year, what, 40? Zibanejad had 15 goals this year. Kreider has been in and out of the lineup. 19 goals, 4 assists. 4.
No primary assist, which is unfathomable.
0 primary assists.
That's wild.
Okay.
Well,
Lafreniere, 15 goals, down from 28. And he's a young guy, so I'm okay giving him a chance. But Will Cooley cannot get on the ice 6-on-5. He's been the Rangers' best player since game 1 of the season. Put him on the ice 6-on-5. Why are you not doing that as a coach? It's not like these guys are winning the games and coming through. They're not coming through. So now is the time, I think, to give the young kids that opportunity. I mean, what do you think? Like, am I crazy?
You're not crazy, but so I'm just going to relate this back to the Bruins because it's even more prevalent in this organization. For so long, the Bruins were, the perfection line. They had their roster, and the roster was so hard to break for young talent because it was always chock or blocked with, established players from first line center all the way down to fourth line wing, bottom pair defenseman, backup goalie. Everybody was amazing. And I think that sort of developed a culture in the Bruins organization where prospects just never got time. I mean, Bruins drafted Fabian Lysell, 21st pick overall in 2021. Up until the Bruins sold their entire roster, he had played one NHL game. Like, the Bruins never ever put their prospects in the NHL. And I completely agree. How the hell do you expect to develop a player when they're going from Goon City, that is the AHL? You might have one or two skilled players in those teams, and the rest guys are just throwing fists. I mean, it's not the NHL down there. It's a lot harder of a league to play in my opinion. And you do not get the same level of development down there that you do in the NHL. And you need to learn the speed of the game in the NHL. And like, you get these prospects, doesn't matter if they're the first overall draft pick, if they never play in the NHL, chances are they're not going to pan out. They're not going to develop properly. They're not going to learn a system. They're not going to learn the good habits that you need in the high speed, high physicality game in the NHL. And it baffles me when coaches and management does that with their prospects. So I don't understand.
It really is like a very simple thing to me. Like, if I were a GM, for example, and I were constructing a roster, right? And I had a bunch of good prospects. Like, let's say, some people don't think the Rangers prospects are good, but I think they're good, right? So you got Othman, you got Berard, you got Gabe Perreault coming in, you got Fortescue or Fortescue, wherever the hell you say his name. You got they just brought in Dorrington, pretty good prospect pool. Not the best, but not bad. Noah Laba, right? If the Rangers force Gabe Perreault to the NHL, to give him bottom 6 minutes in the NHL, that makes no sense to me from a development standpoint. He's never going to succeed in that role. He's undersized. Right. He's not physical. That's not his job. If he's going to play in the NHL, he needs a top 6 role, and he needs to be on the power play. Whether he's earned that or not in the NHL, he needs to start and play and stay in that position or go back to the AHL. Period.
Right. So I absolutely agree. You need to, when you draft a player, like, take Gabe Perreault, for example, and you envision him as your second line center. When you bring him up to the NHL, confidence is a huge thing. These young players especially need to be put into a position to succeed to the extent that they were drafted. Yes. If you draft, a guy in the 7th round of the draft to put his fist through someone else's face, you're not playing him, giving him second line minutes fresh out the gate. But you need to give these players the role that you draft them and show them what it's going to take to play at that level. You don't draft a second line center and, like you said, let them bang around on the 4th line. That's just not it. It's not good for their development. It hampers their development. And that's what the Bruins have done with their young guys. I look at their young center, Matt Poitras. That kid came from University of Guelph. Fantastic player. Yeah, he's a great passer. They played him on the 3rd line, with Trent Frederick and whoever else. Like, you're not going to score there. You're not going to do what you were drafted to do there. You don't have the capacity playing with those guys. So,
well, Alexis Lafreniere couldn't get off the 3rd line for 4 years. He was a number 1 overall pick.
Yeah, and it hampers their development.
He hasn't been on the power play 1 until this year. They put him on for a few games. They don't produce. He takes him off. So it's not just it's not even that simple, right? Because it's like, it's even more complicated than that. Because once you do that, so a lot of fans will be like, Kakko had chances. Lafreniere's been on the power play. He's had chances. It's not that simple, because once you go 4 or 5 seasons into your career, and now you're 22, 23 years old, and you haven't been properly developed, you're no longer the player that you should be at that age because of the years that you haven't developed. So if you're then thrust into a role where it's like, okay, go on the 1st line now, it's like, well, you're not good enough because you've been not developing properly for 4 or 5 years. So you're just not good enough. Yeah. Whereas if you're thrust in a role and the evidence is across the league. It's across the league. Tim Stützle, right? 3rd overall pick in the Lafreniere draft. People are like, we should have taken Stützle over Lafreniere. I guarantee you, if the Rangers had Stützle and Ottawa had Lafreniere, it would be very similar, opposite numbers to what you're seeing right now because of development. It's 100. I'm 100% confident of that. Like almost 100% confident of that. Seriously.
Imagine if Lafreniere was on the Senators and him and Chuck were on the same line. They'd be like the Bash brothers.
Yeah, he'd be a beast.
That'd be a scary
right?
line to play. Yeah, that'd be a scary line to play against.
Well, that's how he would play because he would develop that way. But whatever. I mean, we're just kind of.
I mean, Altman too. You were talking about that earlier. I mean, yeah, like maybe he's not going to be a top guy yet. We don't know. But what has he played before last night? Really, when he played on Panarin's line, you were complaining about this last episode.
I was before that. I was on that before he did it, so I'm glad he did it.
What's he going to do there with those guys? And like, it's not. I mean, yeah, it's nice he's up, but put a fourth line guy there instead, or let Berard play the fourth line, and then you move Othman up. Yeah, and
people are just like, "Oh, I'm not impressed with Othman." I'm like, "Wait, he's playing with Matt Rempe and Juuso Parssinen." Like, no offense to those guys, but that line is an energy line. Like, if you're expecting anything other than just energy being produced by that line, that's all that you're going to get. You're not getting a bunch of goals. You'll get a goal here or there. Once every 15 games, they'll chip in a couple goals. That's it. So if you want points from Brendan Othman, you're not going to get it from that line. You're developing him into a fourth line guy. Here's a first round pick. What are you doing? Like before you relegate him to that, let him fail at being a middle six or top six guy. Once he fails at that and you realize, hey, this guy isn't that good, maybe he's a fourth liner. Let's try. Then he goes to that role, like Brian Boyle did, right? Brian Boyle was a first round pick, fourth liner. So people will point to that, I'm sure. But I'm just baffled, man. Little Ed and Coach Ed would totally disagree because they think players need to learn other aspects of the game to become a more complete player. But I'm just of the mindset, and I don't know, Mikey, if you disagree with this or if you agree with them, not every player on your team needs to be or is going to be a complete player. Like I don't necessarily need Gabe Perreault to come in and be a 200-foot monster Selke candidate. Like I want a 100-point player. That's what I want.
You just said it. If I said name one complete player, like you're going to name guys. Like for like the first name that comes to me is Patrice Bergeron. Like that's a complete player. Barkov. Bergeron. Absolutely. Yeah. Like if you want to go lighter, like a guy like yep. Like even lesser extent, like guys like Joel Eriksson Ek, like centers that play a 200-foot game, like really good solid players. Like those are not easy to find. They are not a dime a dozen. So like with respect to what you were bringing up, like being a complete player is extremely difficult, and I don't really know how to say it, but
you're not going to develop all these guys into complete players.
Exactly. Not every prospect can develop into a Patrice Bergeron or a Kopitar or whatever. It's just simply not going to happen. That's setting your expectations too high. So you got to work with what you got. You got to
take it outside of hockey. Take it outside of hockey, right? Like you swim with sharks. You study sharks, right? You're a scientist, legit scientist on the podcast, by the way, talking hockey. So you're a scientist, okay? You work, I assume, with other scientists?
Yep.
Okay. Now, in the scientist field, which I know nothing about, I'm going to presume, without naming names, that there are certain skill sets that you need to be a good scientist, but that maybe you're super strong in this one skill set and somebody else is not good at that, but they're good at another skill set. Is that fair? Like, are there multiple different skill sets? Yeah.
Absolutely.
So do you need every scientist on the team to be a well-rounded, complete scientist in every aspect? Like, it's hard for people to maybe understand that example because not a lot of people are scientists, but just take any job if you're listening to this, whatever you do for a living. Not everyone who does exactly what you do is going to be as good as you in certain areas, and you're not going to be as good as them in other areas. And that's just the way a team is. I don't know.
No, everyone.
That's why it's a team. That's why hockey is a team sport.
I'm very adamant on this point, and I'm glad we're talking about it without Little Ed and Coach Ed, because they would push back hard on me on this. They would really push back hard.
But with respect to the prospects, you have to put them in a position to succeed. It's better to have them enter a situation with their confidence already high. Like, all right, They drafted me to play second line center. I'm up with the big club. I'm playing second line center. Let's go. Then put them at fourth line, get crushed, and have to rebuild their confidence.
All right, imagine Macklin Celebrini starting on the third line for 3 years.
Exactly. He'd be terrible. Well, he wouldn't be terrible, but he'd be having a hard time.
Playing
Hard
12
time.
minutes a night with no power play time.
Yeah, against the bangers on the other teams. Like, that's real tough for a 19-year-old kid, you know?
He'd have
Real
35
tough.
points, and then people will be saying he's a bust, like they did to Laffy.
Yeah, he'd be up and down the AHL.
So
Yeah,
it's not just management's fault. It is a little bit of the players. I think PJ would push back a little bit. Some of these players weren't good during this rebuild. Lias Anderson comes to mind. Kravtsov wasn't good with the team. But it's a cult when it's so many different players, it becomes a culture of fostering failure in the forward group. I'm pretty okay with their defensive development, and their goaltending is obviously I'm fine with. Defensively, it's okay. I mean, Miller and Schneider made the NHL pretty young, and they were effective at a young age. That's pretty rare. So they developed okay. It's the forwards. They just don't know what they're doing. I don't know, PJ. How much of this do you put on the players versus the coaches? Like Laviolette now is the current one.
Yeah, I mean, there's nuance, but yeah, I agree that it's definitely more on the organization than anybody. I mean, yeah, the players have responsibility. There's no doubt about it. Like, you gotta at least show something, or kind of force your way in here or there. But again, it's tough in some scenarios to do that when you don't have the opportunity, right? But it is frustrating. You think you'd learn, from some of these mistakes here, because how many picks, big forwards, did they have between 2017 and 2021 or 2020? And it's sad. I mean, who are we left with after all that? Loff and Cooley, pretty much, and Hoffman now. But
I mean, when you look at Hoffman wasn't even drafted during the rebuild. I mean, he was drafted when the team was already good, the mid-round first. The Rangers do well in those spots. If when they pick 18 to 30, they usually take a pretty good player, right? They got Braden Schneider, they got Keandre Miller, they got Gabe Perreault, they got Brennan Hoffman. They got there's another one I'm missing. Who am I? Hedl. Hedl was like 17th overall, right? He was a pretty good pick for that spot.
Trust me, you guys are doing well in the draft department. The only Bruins players that are still on the team since 2015 are Swayman, McAvoy, Jacob Lauko, and
yeah, you guys. I don't know what's going on.
Like, it's
new scouting department.
It's real bad.
And
check out
Bruins probably haven't had that many draft picks. They've been giving up their draft picks every year to win too. That doesn't help.
Yeah, I mean, look, Killjoy. First of all, the skull avatar and the name Killjoy coming into this episode of the podcast a little bit like on
serendipitous.
Right? Just a little bit on the he or she says losing Chris Knobloch hurt the organization. Maybe they should have promoted him after Gallant. Yeah, I mean, we talked about that when it happened. Should they go with a younger guy like Knobloch? And they just didn't. They chose Laviolette, and he got snatched up. And I really think that's the way to go. And you start looking at these teams around the league that turn the tides through moments like this. Like I was talking to PJ about this too. We text about hockey a lot. So we're talking about the Rangers and Washington. You think about last year, the Rangers won the President's Trophy. They played Washington. Washington was a joke of a playoff team, dude. Complete joke. They were like minus 20 going in. They got swept. Rangers didn't break a sweat in that series, and they swept them. And they had a young upstart coach. They were developing their young guys. They retooled in the summer, and here they are. They're battling for the President's Trophy, right? So I think when you're looking at the Rangers right now, I regret not promoting Knobloch. I think they should have done that. I wish they had done that. But he's not an option anymore, obviously. So now who is that next person? That's why I was saying Michael Pekka. That's just my opinion.
John Tortorella.
No, God. Dude.
I love Torch, just not my coach, please.
They're gonna do it again. They're gonna do it. I know it. He's gonna get fired, and they're gonna hire him because they think they need a disciplinarian and all this crap. I'm telling you, it's gonna happen. Don't do that.
It worked out well for the
Sure, he
Sabres
wants
rehiring Lindy
Mike
Ruff.
He wants Mike
The
Sullivan
only-
bad.
The only retread coach I would hire is Mike Sullivan. That's the only one. I wouldn't consider him a retread, but I mean like older coach. He's the only one I would do it for. But like I would go young, man. I would go young. If not Pekka, then find another organization that's successful and pluck away a young guy like the Oilers did to the Rangers. Find someone. There's someone out there. Spencer Carberry is out there.
They should go real deep and grab what's his face from Quinnipiac there. He's been coaching the U.S. World Juniors team. Lane.
Oh, Matt Carl.
What's his name? No, Lane Kip. Jeez, I can't even remember his last name.
The guy from Quinnipiac is Rek Petnold or whatever his name is.
Yeah, Ren Petnold. Yeah. Grab him. Do it.
Everyone likes that Matt Carl guy that won like the back-to-back World Juniors. I think he's University of Denver coach. A lot of people like.
He's a good coach. Yeah.
What I think, like, I would love that, but did David Quinn scare them off after they tried that and that did not work out real well? And that's what's the scary thing. But you're right though; they need to, and it's going to be interesting because I doubt Laviolette stays. I would be stunned.
They need energy in their coach, and
So,
you're right.
I want to circle back to something before I mention Zibanejad's quotes. I can't find the quote for some reason. I'm sure I wish Chris was here because I know Chris would definitely find it. But I found another one from March 18th after the Calgary game. This is what Zibanejad says to the media. It's frustrating, really frustrating. I don't care if we play like that and we win. If we lose and we play like that, it's not acceptable. What? Like, that should never be acceptable to play like that. I don't know what you're talking about, dude. You had no, like 2 shots on goal or 1 shot on goal in the first period in that game. You got outshot 35-13. How is that ever acceptable? Then last night he says, I think we've been playing good for the last couple of weeks and we're just not getting the results. Valaket, after that, Steve Valaket, the Rangers analyst, I don't remember the exact quotes. I'm paraphrasing. The Rangers analyst, Giannone, looks at him and is like, the quotes from Mikey Zibanejad, and Valaket's like, that's not what anyone wants to hear right now. That's not the right response here.
It's false.
The Rangers had 0.02 expected goals in the first period last night. 0.02. You know how bad you have to play to have 0.02 expected goals? I cannot. Do you know how bad, dude, you have to play? I mean, you could literally just play like pond hockey and get to like 0.3. 0.02. That's lower than the legal limit for alcohol. Like they would have.
The irony of this is
like
the only 2 teams
if they were driving. That's how many,
Dude, the only 2 teams that have been this bad at any point in the year are the Rangers and the Bruins.
It's horrible.
But like,
It's
speaking
so
of that,
depressing.
from Vince last night, and a concerning stat in the Rangers' last 16 periods, they've been held to 6 shot on goal or fewer in 9 of those 16 periods. Just like pathetic.
That's bad.
And it's the 4th time in the last 8 games they've only scored a single goal. And we can kind of tie in Igor to this. Like, it's pathetic. How are you going to win games with the talent they have? It's this and the power play we need to talk about because that's another.
Okay, one thing at a time though.
Yeah.
How frustrated is Igor right now? I mean, listen, we gave Igor crap a couple of episodes ago. We were on here being like, Igor has to be better. Igor has to. No, I know, but he did. I stand by what I said. He needed to be better. Igor has to will this team to victory. Igor needs to be the best player on the ice every game. He needs to outplay the goalie on the other side every game. He's paid to do that, right? Give me his numbers in the last, 10 games or whatever.
The whole month of March. So raw stat, 919 save percentage, which is really good. If you go saved above expected, 11.61 goals saved above expected and 11 starts. But I want to give you some reference because people will say, that doesn't sound like a lot. If you look at his season overall, he's has a little over 23. This is all according to Money Puck. 23 goals saved above expected. So he's had
half of them in March.
in this 11 games. And then, and also just wanted to tie this in, the top two goalies, Hellebuck and Logan Thompson, as far as goals saved above expected, their per 60 minutes played are 0.6 and 0.7 goals saved above expected per game. So Igor's this month is averaging almost 1.3, 1.4 a game, which would lead the league by a large margin.
I mean, he's unbelievable. He's been unbelievable. He's been outstanding. And frankly, the other night, Mike, did you see the clip where Igor got a penalty for pretty much tackling a player? What game was that in? Jeez, my
brain. A Vancouver game.
The Vancouver game. He pretty much tackled a guy, got a penalty, and then the crowd started chanting Igor, Igor, because the Rangers fans were just happy to see a player show some freaking emotion, show that they care and that they want to make the playoffs. It just feels like nobody else on the team was. And frankly, that sparked the team to win the game. It's crazy. And it's like, I just feel so bad for this guy. He's been unbelievable, and he's like 4-6 in his last 10 or something.
4-6 and 2 in 11. That was 11
He's
games.
under 500. He's under 500. It's insane to me.
He should be 10-1 with those numbers. If any semblance of a decent team in front, he's 10-1. Easy.
They just played average, right? I mean, like not like subpar effort, like par effort, just a par effort. And they're like 9-2 or 8-3 in those games. Easy. It's really embarrassing.
That just to tie in the effort level, right? Like, we talked about how just concerning and disheartening it is to see these players not put in the effort. And the one guy, every damn time he plays, goes all out to win is him. So that's what hurts the most. And it just brings you back to Hank again, where he's just doing everything he can to will them to a win. And the freaking guy just needs help.
Yeah. I mean, so let's tie it into the guy needs help to obviously the Rangers suck 5-on-5 because they have since I was in the womb. So let's talk about the power play, which has been pretty good in recent years. What the hell is going on with this power play? First of all, why has Vincent Trocheck on PP1 when he's playing the way he is? Why is Kreider? Trocheck killed 2 power plays by himself last night. Just throwing the puck cross ice to nobody. I don't know what the hell. Anyway, give me the numbers. What are they, like 4 for 45 or something like that?
Yeah, 4 since the Four Nations break, 4 for 47. In the last 12 games, 1 for 28. And 0 for their last 17 in that stretch.
0 for 17, 1 for 28, and 4 for 47.
That just means that they were league average in the middle. They're not even their old selves. They were just average. How many more power play goals do they have? And then how many more wins do they just have? I mean,
what is the league average? Like what? Like 18% or something like that?
Yeah, probably somewhere in there.
17%?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say 1/5, so 47. So 9 or 10 goals would be 20%. So 7, I don't know, dude. That's pretty bad.
Yeah,
like
that's
7 or 8, 3 or 4 more goals could be a couple points in the standings. It's
at
reality.
least. I mean,
they get a power play goal last night. They get a point. That's 1 point. So you just add that up over the course of 47 attempts. So how do we fix that? What do they do to fix that? They've tried different combinations. They tried going back to the old unit. Fox was hurt. Fox is back. What can they do to fix it?
I think they just got to get they're too predictable. Like everyone knows what they're going to do. I know what they're going to do. If I know what they're going to do, then the team knows. I know Fox is going to Panarin. He's going to go across to Mika. Mika's going to go back over. Then they're going to rotate over. They're going to probably try to shoot it, or they're going to go behind the net. It's the same thing. When they were really good, they were unpredictable, and so many different people were threats. Panarin was a threat on one side. Mika's one-timer, obviously. Fox shifting up the top, and then Kreider in front. And I feel like they don't know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to do a cousin Ed flop because I've harped on being on your off wing on the power play and one-timers for years with Mika Zibanejad. But if I recall correctly, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, JT Miller has been a top power play performer in Vancouver on the left side, and he is now playing the right side. So maybe switch that up somehow and put JT Miller on the left side. It seems counterintuitive to me, but do it and see if he clicks because he can't hit the net from the right side. I've never seen anything like it. And Zibanejad can't hit the net. Miller can't hit the net. Fox has a soft shot. Panarin shoots everything. I love when he shoots. Don't get me wrong, but like he just whips shots like right into shin pads and people's necks and shit. I don't even know what he's doing half the time.
No team gets more shots blocked or misses the net more, I feel like. But to your point about Miller,
Kreider's useless. He's useless right now.
Well, they can't. They got to get him the puck too. Like, how many times did Fox was so good at shifting and then getting the puck, like sifting a perfect shot to be tipped up the middle? That just, I think, like, and Vitali says here, like they're too stationary. They're not moving as much as they used to, so it's just so much easier to defend. The PK doesn't have to move. But to your point about Miller,
yes and no.
Yeah, but to your point about Miller, when they first got him, the power play actually was doing well, and he was on the left side. He was. What he would do is he would come up from the top of the zone, come downhill, and take a shot, and it would create chaos that way. And then you still have Panarin in his normal spot, and then Mika in the bumper. I don't know why they went away from that. It's really weird.
You said before, you said that predictability was their problem. You know what the Rangers are going to do. I think ironically, predictability could also be the solution to it because there's some guys in the NHL that are so predictable, like Ovechkin is the perfect example. You know what he's doing every time. He stands on that dot and doesn't move in the power play. The puck's going to him and he just blasts one-timers and they go in. Doesn't matter how much you try and take that away, he's going to score there. And JT Miller's another one of those guys. He's done the same thing on the power play for Vancouver in years. He stands in that spot and he smashes shots past the goalie. And where you guys have been, on Panarin for so many years to start shooting, and he has done that. I think now would be the time to say maybe you don't shoot so much and we try passing it to JT a little bit more. I think that's something that could definitely work for them.
Yeah, I mean, there's some truth to that, and it seems the coaches agree because they went back to the old unit, so they might have been thinking about that, right? Like, let's get back to the.
But Miller has to play like PJ said. He's got to play on that left side. That's his spot on the power play. He doesn't do anything from elsewhere. He's got to be on that left side.
That was my point, but I agree.
He's got to be on that left side. Yeah,
but it's just
I got to make sure I get credit.
Well, last year with this power play, the last 2 years, I don't know about you, cousin, but every time they got a power play in the last 2 years, I thought they were going to score, and I never felt like that as a Rangers fan. I remember the AV and Tortorella years where remember we used to joke, let's decline the power play because they were never going to score. But that's what's so annoying, and that's why this whole season freaking has been so miserable. It's because, and why we keep holding on to hope, because we're like, we've seen these guys do it. Just freaking remember how to play.
Just be normal, right?
Yes, that's why I named the episode. Why can't you just be normal? Come on, like it's enough.
But it's crazy because, like, dude, we complain so much, and there are so many things to complain about as a Ranger fan. Trust me. And they are 1 point out of a playoff spot, so it's like that's what makes it so. But that's what makes it so frustrating. Is it's like if just one of these things were different. Right? If the effort level were average, if the team defense commitment was better, just a little better, if the power play was 8 for 47 instead of 4 for 47, X, Y, Z, whatever, one of those things, and they're in a playoff spot. That's it. Like that's the reality through all of it. So it's been a frustrating year, but all right, let's talk about the wild card race, and then we'll do a Mikey 150. He's going to do a live 150 for you guys. So get ready for that. If this is no pressure on Mikey 150, but All right, so we got currently Ottawa 79 points with 70 games played. Montreal also 70. They got 75 points. The Islanders sit in ninth. They got 74 points, 70 games played. Rangers 72 games played. This is another problem that we've been having. 74 points. So they all these teams have 2 games in hand on the Rangers, including Columbus, who's below them with 73 points with 2 games in hand. That's what makes us frustrating, right? Because we know when other teams have games in hand, yes, they have to win those games. But, I mean, look, if the Rangers, I guess Detroit will include in there 71 games, 72 points. We'll cut it off at Boston with 69 and say they're pretty much eliminated. Sorry, Mikey. But,
Is what it is.
When you look at the Rangers, right, they got 10 games left. So let's just throw a number out there. Let's throw a crazy number, Mike. Rangers go 8-2 in those 10 games. Like, they haven't done all season. They haven't won 3 games in a row since November. But, hey, they're going to go 8-2 in these 10 games. That gives them 16 points, 90 on the season. Okay? Montreal has 12 games left. In order to beat out the Rangers, they themselves need 16 points, which means they have to go 8-4 or 7-3-2 or something like that, which they've been red hot. Their last 10, they're 5-2-3, right? So that would be enough to head in the direction of beating the Rangers out for the spot, even if they go 8-2.
Yeah, I mean, Montreal's a bad example. They're the hottest team in the NHL since the Four Nations break. But I hear you. Like, at this point, though, how badly do you want them to make the playoffs?
Very badly, for a couple of reasons. Very badly.
Okay, why? What are your reasons?
Reason number 1, I do not want the Rangers to transfer their 2026 unprotected first-round pick to Pittsburgh, because I know that will be Gavin McKenna. 100% it will be Gavin McKenna. So I want that off the table. No chance of it happening. That's number 1. Reason number 2 is I think with Igor Shesterkin, in a window of a 7-game series, anything can freaking happen. And I know people hate that, but he could win a series, 2 series, 3 series for this team. If they play, I still think.
But can he win 4?
No. But who cares?
Okay, well then, what? That's my whole point. So you take Igor winning 3 series and having to come back next year,
right? He gets
with
the
this
rest.
same team, and we're here again this time next year having this exact same conversation.
No, that's fair. So if they miss, you're saying they'll make some changes if they miss. But if they go on a run,
it's gonna force their hand.
I mean,
look at what's happened with the Bruins.
Yeah, I think they're going to anyway.
Yeah, and that honestly, like, it's what you said right after, or might have been Little Ed that said it, but like, I was so bullshit when Marchand got traded. To be honest, I still am. But at the end of the day, it had to happen. I mean, you said it however long ago. This is a business, and despite the fact that I would, lick the bottom of Brad Marchand's feet just to breathe the same air as him, like, he had to go. He's 36 years old. He's got bad hips. I hated every minute of it. So it is a business. So at the end of the day, you probably don't want the Rangers to succeed too much if these players have brought this crappy culture and, this, just this bad attitude and this horrible play style and these horrible habits to their game. Like, you just don't want that in your locker room. That's not a winning formula. That's a loser mentality. And ultimately it benefits the Rangers just to lose.
I know I'm in that weird spot because of that. Like, my heart wants them to get in because as a fan, right?
Yeah.
You can't root for them
Absolutely.
to lose. I can't.
I completely agree. Yep, completely agree.
Same way, like, you just never know. And that's kind of what I said earlier. You just hope that maybe they remember how to play hockey. Maybe the power play gets hot. Igor
I don't know, man.
But then my head, I think, that exact reason. Like, it forces the real change. It gives some of these guys like Fox, Igor, Panarin a full summer. For once, they've had a lot of short summers and off seasons to heal up, start fresh, retool, come back. But again, that's also like the weirdest part of the season is there's not a lot to hold on to. There's not a lot of optimism. Yeah, Perreault is coming maybe. And we have Igor and Fox when he's right. And Cooley's been a nice bright spot.
See, that's the difference between me and you is that, like, you get in this dark place and you say there's not a lot of optimism. I don't think there's a lot of optimism in this season based on this season's performance, but I actually am a little bit optimistic going forward with this team. I'm very high on a lot of these prospects. I think they need to get a new coach. I think they do need to make some changes to the core, but they don't need to blow up the team. I'm okay if they want to go that route because, frankly, they blew up my season. So, as a fan. So, like, if they want to trade all these guys, go ahead, blow it up, But I'm a little bit optimistic going forward that this is an outlier and not necessarily the Rangers going forward. I don't think that's the case. I don't think you go from being a great team for 3 years and then you have a bad year and it's like, well, you suck now. It's like, not necessarily. Couple tweaks and this team is much better, but
it should help to make their guys, some of their guys, a bit hungrier. Like guys like Fox that have been on the Rangers for 6 years. He's done nothing but succeed on the Rangers. Yeah. It's like the curse of the President's Trophy. These teams don't win because all they've done is win all year, and then they come up against some adversity in the playoffs, and they just crumble. So at some point, experiencing adversity to a fairly high magnitude in your career, it should benefit you as a player.
Yeah.
Right.
Plus rest. And rest. These guys have been hurt.
It helped them after that.
Hurt. Fox is hurt.
Yeah.
Go ahead, PJ.
It just sucks as a fan because we just want to say, screw that. Just make the goddamn playoffs. I want to watch playoff hockey, But ultimately, yeah.
I would say that definitely helped a little after that playoff series. They came back last year, with a purpose. And I remember like Trocheck saying in the beginning of the year, it's like a no bullshit mentality. They had a chip on their shoulder all season to prove. So I'm hoping that happens, but it's just this year screws with your head because you see all these guys just have a horrible year at the same time. A lot of the stars are on the wrong side of 30. So you get scared because Drury has to do a lot right. He has to nail the coach. He has to clear out these guys like Kreider, get a decent return, and then also use that cap space appropriately. And then you have to have the prospects hit, which we just talked about, has been no guarantee. So just I'm not saying it can happen. I want it to happen, and I very easily can see the path to success next year and in the future. But I'm scared because they have to do it, though, and it's not easy. They have to nail it.
I also don't think there's anything wrong with transitioning a team from a core group of guys to a next core without trading everybody. Not that I'm saying they shouldn't trade Kreider, shouldn't trade Zibanejad. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. But, look at Dallas, right? Dallas had a core of Jamie Benn, Tyler Seguin. That was their core. That was their two top guys on the team. They're third liners now. They're playing bottom 6 minutes. They've transitioned that team to Wyatt Johnston. Now they got Rantanen. There's nothing necessarily wrong if Zibanejad and Kreider is your penalty-killing third line and you're giving Gabe Perreault those minutes and other guys who are younger and you go get a JJ Peterka or whatever the hell you do. And those are your top 6 now. I'm okay with that. They don't have to be the go-to guys.
But I think that's what they wanted. And we thought the next core was going to be Lafreniere, Fox, Kakko, Hedl. And now look what we're left with. Lafreniere, that's just what this season has done to us. Look at Lafreniere's season. He was the beacon of hope. He was supposed to be the next center of the core. The way he finished in the playoffs and started the year, got the contract. And then with him struggling so much and Keandre struggling so much because he was going to be the 1-2 with Fox on the defense. So now I'm like, where is that next wave of core? Yeah, that's what scares me because they don't have.
Well, what shouldn't scare you is those guys are young and they're developing and they're going to go through ebbs and flows, man. It's not a linear path. And I think fans are just too quick to be like, Laffy mailed it in after getting that contract. Maybe he didn't mail it in. Maybe the kid got paid and is like, holy shit, I better perform. And now he's gripping his stick too tight. And maybe he's struggling and then he's getting moved around throughout the lineup and he's not on the power play. And maybe he's having a tough year. It doesn't mean he's done and he's a bust and his career's over. Maybe next year he scores 35 goals. I don't know. It's like people are people make too many decisions based off of recent performance. And like this, I'm ready to say this was an outlier season for a lot of these players. A lot of shit happened. And I'm not necessarily saying they should or shouldn't trade anybody. I'm just saying, talk to them after the season, see where their heads are at, and get whoever's not buying in to next year is a year where we're going to go full stop, 100% effort, clear them out. Period. And you got to make that assessment through the bullshit of what they say. Is Kreider in? Is Zibanejad in? Is Panarin in? Is Fox in? All these guys. If they're not buying in 100%, I'm going to have a good workout in the offseason and do my thing, whatever, and we're going to go hard next year, then clear them out. And bring in guys who are. I don't know.
It's hard. It's hard when you're transitioning your core. I'm just, thinking from a Rangers fan perspective, when you don't see that young core and there isn't a definitive bona fide goal scorer in there. It's hard to be confident in your team when you don't know where your offense is going to come from.
The only offense we know is coming is Artemi Panarin, who's on the wrong side of 30, right?
Exactly. I'm talking more your young core, right? You mentioned with your prospects, you drafted well to the best of your knowledge, but none of these kids have played an NHL game yet, so you don't really know. And you look at a guy like Lafreniere and it's still not clear where he quite fits in the lineup yet. I mean, we know he fits somewhere, but just not where. Is he going to be a 40, 50 goal scorer? Or is he just going to be, 30, 50, 30, 60,
Totally fine with that. Like,
yep.
I don't care. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, but then they need somebody else, like you said, like a Paterka. They need, like, this summer needs to be about kind of trading like a Kreider and then filling that with a young scorer or someone more upside, just to kind of change the look and have try to set the future up a little bit better.
You need stability in your lineup. Like when this situation hits, these guys are going on the ice, full stop. You need that in your lineup.
All right. Well, speaking of young core, one of the best players from our young core, Adam Fox. Milestone moment sponsored by Old Country Tile. Old Country Ceramic Tile located in Westbury is an A+ in customer service. If you have any tile needs, give them a call, 516-334-6161. Adam Fox, 7th fastest defenseman in the NHL, the history of the NHL, to reach the mark of 300 career assists. Pretty impressive. I mean, when you look at that list, Cale Makar and Quinn Hughes are ahead. So for all the people who want to make the point that he's worse than Cale Makar, that's somehow become an insult for Adam Fox. Like, he's not as good as Quinn Hughes. Like, dude, who is? Like, what the fuck? This is your Barry. This is your marker. Like, Quinn Hughes? Like, when you look at Quinn Hughes is the line, you have Cale Makar above it and nobody else, right? So, anyway, Quinn Hughes, Cale Makar. Who else? Bobby Orr, Brian Leach, Bork?
I think so. I can't think of the 7th one off the top of my head.
You're muted, buddy.
I had it. You hear me?
We lost PJ. I can't remember who
the
other
I think Cousin Ed's
defenseman was. It was Leach or
was it?
Oh, I guess you lost me.
I can't remember. I can hear you.
I can hear you guys. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you, PJ.
Okay. No, I have the list somewhere, but I have to find it. But those names sound right. I think we lost Cousin Ed.
But, I think his headphones went.
Yeah. So, no, ultimately Fox got that in the Toronto game, and it's just been a weird year for Fox. I think we've talked to you about this, Mikey. Like, it's been a lot of discourse about him.
Yeah, I just remember there's something wrong with him. There's got to be an injury or something. Like that game he played against the Bruins, just watching him go into corners, it was like, dude, you're an NHL defenseman. Like, you got to go into the corner. And it's like he wouldn't touch anybody. He was afraid to get hit. Like, I think there's got to be something wrong with him. That's the only reason a player of that caliber would be playing that much below his level.
Yeah, I truly think his knee is still banged up. He took that knee from Aho, came back, took a little bit, but then he was like still really good towards the end of last season, and then he got hit the same knee in that first round against Washington. And then he didn't have surgery. It was a short off season. Then he got married. So like, who knows if that really got back to his level? And there was rumors that he was even battling something else before he got that shoulder injury against the Islanders. So he's one guy where like that's what we talked about earlier, where like a silver lining is all right, he gets a full 6 months to heal, or 5 or 6 months.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
You could see it, he's doing the right things, but he's never fleet of foot as he was, but he was still a lot more elusive than he seems this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he definitely seems slow.
Yeah. And he was before, even with this slow, he was creating so much false information with the way he shimmies or like holds the puck that guys would go left and right by him all the time. It's just not happening as much, and ties into what we were talking about earlier with the power play, because that was his bread and butter at the top of the mark. And he would create those lanes to the net because he would move over a fake one way and the guy would go one way and he would have the whole other lane to pass to somebody or get the shot through to Kreider. And I think that's part of the power play issue too.
Right. And when he doesn't have that ability, you're in effect not on the power play anymore. I mean, if you're missing that cog, he doesn't have the ability to do what he's on that power play to do, then you're essentially playing 4-on-4.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see next year, with healthy and what happens. I feel like he's going to be back to his old self, and we're going to forget having all these debates. Hopefully,
yeah. So who is the other defenseman? I couldn't hear you. I thought you were.
No, I was trying to bring it up. It's got to be somewhere in my text to you, but
yeah, it's in there somewhere. I think he sent it in the chat with Little Ed. We have like 8 group chats. Oh, here it is. Gary Suter. It wasn't Ray Bork. It was Paul Coffey. Bobby Orr, Brian Leach, Quinn Hughes, Paul Coffey, Cale McCarr, Gary Suter, Adam Fox. That's a pretty good group of defensemen to be a part of. So, anyway, awesome. Adam Fox, congrats. Hopefully, people want to trade him. I think they're crazy, but whatever.
Be a big mistake.
We can move on. All right, let's get to the Fantasy 150 with Mikey P. Are you ready, Mikey? Put him on the big screen. No pressure.
Oh boy, I gotta do this live. Hang on, I gotta pull it up here.
Nice little overlay for you too, just like we put up.
You guys are.
You got to play the.
You guys are gonna make me blush.
This is a fan. Hold on. What does Little Ed say? Or Mike? What do you say? Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Rangers Ed Fantasy 150. Go.
Oh, that was so good. How am I going to follow that? All right. Well, first things first, Thomas Hertl not traveling with the team. He's not going to be in the lineup for the next 3 games for Vegas. So if he's one of your core group of centers, you're going to need to find a replacement for him. Demko's back in the lineup for Vancouver after being in and out several times over the past week. Brad Marchand might finally make his season debut. This guy right here for the Florida Panthers. Different jersey. Won't be wearing that one. Super. And Charlie McAvoy is back at practice for the Boston Bruins, so you might be seeing him in the lineup in the next week or so. A couple of guys on the waiver wire. Most leagues should be in playoffs by now, I would imagine. So if you're looking for some scoring, a little bit of depth category coverage, I would say look at Ryan McLeod from the Buffalo Sabres, listed center. That dude is a beast at the faceoff dot. It's only 7% owned in Yahoo League, so chances are he is available. He's playing second line center and second line power play for the Sabres. Buffalo does suck, but they always play hard down the stretch because none of their games mean anything, and they're always a good option towards the end of the season. Sean Couturier on Philly. I cannot believe he's only 4% rostered in Yahoo leagues, but he's another guy. He's just been killing it lately. He's playing second line center with Matvei Michkov and Travis Konechny, and both of those guys can put pucks in the net. So by proxy, he should get you some points should you roster him. And he's also playing first power play for Philly. And if he's playing first power play, he's probably playing pretty well because Torts has a pretty no BS approach to his players. And if they're not playing well, they're not playing. Third pickup, I would say look at Bobby McMahon on the Leafs. He's a left wing. He's playing second line with JT and William Nylander, I believe. JT is absolutely smoking hot right now. I think he's got 9 points in his last 4 games. So Bobby McMahon, he's a pretty good scorer, young player. Another one that by proxy, playing with JT and Nylander, he should get you some points. He's playing second power play, and he is only 7% rostered. So chances are he is available in your league. Then 3 stars of the week. I think I just mentioned John Tavares. He's got 5 goals, 4 assists in the Leafs' last 4 games, playing on that second line with Willie Nees and Bobby McMahon. Jack Eichel on Vegas, 5-5 in his last 4. Pretty impressive. And I got to go. This one's not probably doesn't deserve to be 3rd star of the week, but I'm giving it to Robert Thomas just because I love watching him play so much. He's got 2 goals, 6 assists in his last 3 games, and he just reminds me of David Krejci, the way he passes the puck. It's just a thing of beauty to watch.
I got to ask you though, what if in all your leagues you have a bye? So
I do have league buys in 2 of my 3 leagues.
Yeah, notice 2 of 3. I have it in all of my leagues. So who am I looking at? I need a heads up for next week. I know you
Morgan
and I each
Geekie.
have. Yeah, for week 24.
Dude, Morgan Geekie is a fantasy hockey unicorn. He's a center, left wing, right wing. He can play every forward position. He's got 27 goals, I think, this year. Like shattering his career numbers. He's playing with David Pastrnak. He's first power play. He's got phenomenal category coverage. We're talking shots. He'll get you some face-off wins, hits, power play time, goals, assists, you name it.
Yeah.
He's an absolute gem.
I have a feeling he's owned, but I'll definitely
Are you
be
guys
checking
in this same fantasy league for the Rangers 150, the Rangers Ed podcast league?
Yes.
Yes.
And
We're
you guys are
number
both-
1 and 2 in that
I
league.
thought that was you, Mikey, in second. I'm going to be in next year, so I'm curious to see because I'm in the playoff side of bye my first week, and then this week I'm in the middle round. So
Yeah, you're talking to the reigning champ.
oh boy,
Yeah, Mikey's the reigning champ this year. I came in first. I got a bye, and Mikey's got the other bye. And right now, it's Miller time is destroying Mikey Produces, a former producer, and Neil from Devil's State of Mind is playing Mrs. 150. He's up 7-5. That's a good matchup, but
Yeah, Mrs. 150 is stressing.
I mean, well, I don't want to jinx it, but I think Mrs. 150 is, she made the finals last year, so she can't be ruled out. Miller time is, he's always in it, but me and Mikey have been the 2 best teams in the league all year, so it should be us if the gods are good. But you know how fantasy playoffs are. It's like
I know.
it's
It's a crapshoot.
one bad week. It's so frustrating because play against somebody, you have a good week, and they just have an insane week where you would have won any other week, but just because everything went wrong or everything went right on their end. But we were joking last week, Mikey, because you were giving good tips, and Cousin's like, "Oh man, I wish I had these tips." I was like, "He's probably taking them before he throws them out there. He's doing this."
Yeah. No, I said I'm gonna go on and add these guys, and PJ's like, "Nah, he already added them, dude. He's not gonna give you the tips without adding them." And what's funny is I literally just went into the league you're in that you missed the playoffs. I went in to see if Geeky was available right after you said that, and you own him. So
Dude, I have had Morgan Geeky. I didn't know you were talking about that league. I've had Geek in that league. I'll trade him to you. Give me Marco Rossi.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so Mikey and I almost worked out a deal in that league where I was interested in Jake Gensel and somebody else, Sebastian
Aho. Yeah,
it's a keeper league, and both those guys aren't eligible to be kept. And I have Marco Rossi in round 17 next year as a keeper.
Yeah, and
Mikey was trying to get me to trade him Rossi for Aho and Gensel with some picks, and I was just like,
"Oh, you guys can trade picks in that league? That's cool."
Oh yeah, it's a keeper league where you can trade picks, so you could sell.
Yeah. Who did I end up trading? I traded Pastrnak and somebody else for Middleton, Joey Decord, and Oliver Bjorkstrand, all of which are keepers.
Wow. So you did that because you knew you weren't going to keep pasta and you weren't going to like win or something?
Exactly.
Yes. So this league, the way the scoring categories work, it is basically goals and goalies.
Yeah. Pretty
And
much.
so you need
And assists.
the reason
Assists count because you have short-handed
it's
points and power play
goalies.
points.
Yeah, it's points and goalies essentially.
And hits
and so
blocks.
Decord is a 10th round pick, so I keep him for a 9 next year. And any goalie keepers I have Montembeau for a 19th, I think, and Decord for a 9th.
Yeah,
and so
goalies are kept so often in this league that it's like super hard to get goalies.
Goalies are they're yep.
Yeah, so Mikey's trade was he acquired Decord, Bjorkstrand, and Middleton, plus a first-round pick next year for Pasternak, Skinner, and Sebastian Aho, plus a 12th round pick next year.
Sheesh.
So he pretty much dumped his players that he can't keep, and he acquired guys he can keep and got it first. So good move. But yeah, that league is good because there's tiers. So like anyone drafted around 1 to 6, you just can't keep them. They're automatically turned over. But after that, there's tiers where you can keep a certain amount of guys. They move up a year. And then there's lifetime keepers. Like I have Brady Tkachuk as a lifetime keeper. So I get him in round 22 for his whole career until I want to turn him over. Yeah.
Do you have to deem one person that?
You can get up to 3.
Oh, wow. Okay. Because I'm in a keeper, and we obviously do it a little bit different, where it's whatever round you took them the previous year, you can keep them, but they count for 2 rounds earlier.
Yeah.
Then we do 1 round, except for the lifetime rounds, which are the end of the draft. So you draft a bunch of prospects in those rounds. You hope they hit. I drafted Genther in the last round of the draft. I have him as a lifetime keeper.
Oh, he's killing it.
I have Tkachuk, and I have I forgot who my other guy is. Oh, Perfetti. I drafted him hoping he hits. You just kind of just throwing darts at the wall and just hope they hit. Somebody's got like Barzal and Sorokin as lifetime keepers.
Leon Draisaitl.
Yeah, Draisaitl.
Shit.
I know. The league's been going on for a while. This is like a 10-year-old league. So
yeah. So when Cousin Ed just tried to chirp me for not making the playoffs, I just walked into this league and picked up a team. So
it's tough. It's a tough league. It is.
It is.
I think it's competitive.
If any of you are looking to commission your leagues, for the love of God, don't make shooting percentage a scoring category. What the hell is that?
Well, I hate shots on goal.
Dumbest scoring category.
I know.
Ever.
I don't like it either.
I
don't like
shots on goal are so good. Shots on goal. What's wrong with that?
I don't like penalty minutes. Why should more penalty minutes win you the category?
Coach Ed says that too.
I agree with that. But there needs to be one wild card category in your fantasy, whether it's penalty minutes or plus minus. There has to be one wild card category.
No, the reason penalty minutes is good, PJ, is because you have to expand the universe of players
who
have value.
This is coming from a guy that has Brady Tkachuk as a lifetime keeper. You need to expand the universe of players, or you just draft one that covers every single one of those categories.
I had him before. I didn't make that up after I drafted him.
His last name is Tkachuk. You knew he was going to be a dog.
I'm just saying, you have to expand the universe of guys. So this is a deep roster. I mean, it's like a 6D. It's 4 forwards, 2 right wings, 2 left wings, 2 centers, 6 defensemen. So you have to give value to certain guys. So hits, blocks. I agree with Mike. I might change shooting percentage to shots on goal. I might do that.
Yeah. Shots on goal are a positive offensive stat.
Honestly, I'd be more likely to just drop that altogether than add shots on goal. Because I think shots on goal is like favors guys who just pepper the goalie and
then add face-off wins.
Hurts playmakers. But that favors centers.
But face-off wins are a positive offensive category. Like you're benefiting your team when you win a face-off.
Yeah, but
that makes Sean Couturier.
But that makes Sean Couturier ranked like 55 and Panarin ranked like 83. It like distorts the.
Okay, well, blocks disproportionately favor defensemen, so you want to get rid of that category so that forwards have equivalent value.
Not enough. Not enough. I mean, it just pushes them up a little bit. We'll talk about this off the air.
Yeah,
We don't
we're
need-
into the
if
weeds
little
here.
if little Ed were
You
here,
go home.
if little Ed
Fantasy
were here,
episode.
he'd be killing me. Little Ed would be like, "All right, guys, like, can we just move on?"
Buddy,
I was going to
he
go
just
into another,
he drafted Owen Tippett 60th overall. He has no leg to stand on.
PJ, come on, do the little. You just move on. Like nobody wants to listen to this.
Let's move on to schedule prediction, shall we?
Oh,
or-
jeez Louise. All right, let's move on to this. I guess we all picked 3-0. We all lost.
we were all 1-2. Because we all picked 3-0. We were all 1-2. So the standings are now me at first, 11-8, Little and Coach Ed at 9-10, and Cousin Ed in last at 7-12.
Okay, can I go first?
Yeah, but do you want to read the sponsorship?
Oh yeah, I guess so. I guess I should do that.
If you say
All right,
so.
This is your upcoming schedule. Rangers are at Anaheim, at San Jose, and then is that home against Minnesota? I think so.
Yes.
When you're watching these games, be sure to place your order at Sorrento's of Long Beach ahead of time. And for your game day meal, you can go there. They have a convenient location located at 768 West Beach Street in Long Beach, or give them a call and order ahead of time. 516-962-9635. Sorrento's of Long Beach is the place to go. It's Coach Ed's favorite spot. Okay. Loss. Mark it down. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I'll text cousin. I'll text Little Ed and Coach Ed for theirs, but yeah, I'm not being optimistic anymore until I see otherwise, until they wrote me back in. And of course,
you're only doing that so I can't catch you.
No,
that's the only reason you're doing it. Because if we pick the same, you win. So why would you pick any different than me?
All right. I'll be real.
Don't change your strategy. He's he's lawyering you.
No,
you got this locked up.
Psyops, dude.
Don't throw this. You got this locked up.
All right, I'm going fine. I'm bringing back typical. I'm going to go win, and loss. Because here's what they'll do. The Islanders are losing tonight. Probably going to lose again. And then the Canadiens.
Oh, they're losing? Oh,
yeah, they're losing 4-2. And the Canadiens will probably lose one of their next two because they have a back-to-back. And then the Rangers will win these two. And then we're going to be like, all right, they're back in it. And then they can never win freaking 3 in a row. And they're going to lose at home after 3 days off versus the Wild. And then we're going to be like, yep, this typical damn team does it again.
All right, so win-win loss for PJ. Mike, you want to just make a guess?
Yeah, I'll say they take the L against the Ducks. And Trouba beats the bag off Zibanejad twice. And they beat the Sharks 6-2.
Barclay Goodrow, 2 goals in that game?
Yeah, 2 hat tricks. 2 hat tricks. Yeah. Let's say they lose 6-2. Goodrow has 2 hat tricks.
Right.
And then they win 3-2 against Minnesota.
Right.
Shesterkin with a goalie goal. Oh man, I would at least that would give it something to smile about this season if he scored. But yeah, it's kind of weird how Trouba and Goodrow can put the final daggers into this team.
I know, kind of awesome that the 2 of the last games are against them.
Yeah, and PJ star of the week, Igor Shesterkin. Highlight play of the week, Igor Shesterkin. Pick a play.
Like a save.
Doghouse Award. I'm leaving Lafreniere in. So that's my picks.
I'm taking Lafreniere out. I actually think he had 2 assists versus Vancouver. We talked about last night. He looked a little more active. I'm liking, since he's been on JT a little bit more. I'm throwing Trocheck in.
Oh, Trocheck. Forget it. Forget it.
He's been pretty bad.
And Mika.
Yeah.
Trocheck and Mika always just in the doghouse.
Just for their comments last game. All right. I'm going to ride you. I agree. Take Laffy out. I'll put Mika and Trocheck in. And that's enough. I don't want to do any other stars. All right. It's a good episode, boys. Thanks for joining. Covering Mikey. Thank you for joining, covering Coach Ed and Little Ed. I'm sure they'll appreciate it. You did a great job. I know it's hard coming on 2 hours, your wife's birthday weekend. You're talking Rangers, not even talking Bruins. You know, there's a lot there. But appreciate your time and your insight. And, listeners, thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for listening. Thank you to our sponsors for making this podcast possible. We appreciate all of you. And I guess let's go Rangers. Like I'm so disheartened by this team. I don't even know. Like somebody else say it, I guess.
No, it's been a very,
Are
very.
you staying up on Friday?
Yeah, I'm a sicko. Of course I will. I'm not gonna be able to sleep. I'm gonna be laying there. I not have anything to wake up for on Saturday anyway, so I'm gonna be wondering what's going on. I might as well watch.
My wife just texted me from downstairs. Why am I watching the Devils game right now? SOS. I've trained her well. She's 8 months pregnant. 8 months pregnant, sitting downstairs in bed watching the Devils game. Hilarious.
We'll have to do
boy.
A wives and significant others podcast, like maybe in the summer. I'd love to get like their perspectives on things. It'd be really funny.
Yeah. Ask Christina about what happened after Marchand got traded. That'd be a good story for that. I think she was afraid to come within 100 feet of me.
You got to bring her on for a fantasy 150 or
I will.
Live one. Yeah. All right. Well, wish her a happy birthday for us. Thank you everybody for listening. Thank you guys for joining. Until next week. This is the Rangers Ed podcast, boys. We're doing it.
Yep.
We're doing it. We're giving effort through the end of the season. Someone's got it.
Yep. Thanks. See you guys.